now.
Do you do a little intro?
Yes, so I never really talked about I did talk about what I wanted to name this podcast, which was a Heartwork podcast. It's just like about healing and self-development. So I haven't really introduced the podcast in that way. So today will be the first day. I just want to call it Heartwork Podcast because a lot of people who heal, who put in the hard work, are putting in that heart work. You get me? Like it's kind of like a
It's a
play on
little
words.
pun. I love
Yeah.
puns. Yes. Okay.
So, welcome back to the Heartwork Podcast, guys. Today I have Christine here with me. She actually has been my friend for years now. We just reconnected over this podcast, and it's so crazy how life works because I never would have expected that this would be the way that we would reconnect. So one thing I wanted to say to you was how crazy is it that I don't even remember the last time we hung out. It was like what, when we were with Sally, we had
Before
like
COVID.
bonfires.
Yeah, before COVID.
Yeah,
It's been, I think, like at least 5 years. It's crazy. I'm
it's
happy that we're doing
insane.
this.
Yes. And before we even get into the topic, I do have some questions for her because obviously we haven't seen each other in forever.
Good
Um
questions, please.
yes. So a little background story. We grew up together. I think we met what, middle school or elementary?
No,
Way before.
elementary.
Miss
I was like
Pappas?
this little. Yeah,
Miss
probably.
Pappas
Yeah,
class. Oh my God. Wow.
I
You know
know.
what? One memory that sits with me forever and ever, and it'll sit in
Is
my
this good?
heart.
Is this a good memory?
It's a good memory.
Okay. I was like, not something embarrassing.
One, my mom would never let me sleep over anyone's house except your house
Really?
because your mom and my
Wow.
mom would work together. So my
Yeah.
mom knew her mom for I don't even know how long
Yeah.
before we even knew that our parents knew each other.
I'm finding out right now that they work together. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And so whenever I would want to sleep over, I would always tell my mom, I was like, "Can I sleep over at Christine's house?" And she was like, "Yeah, because I know her mom. Like, I know where they live." And so she wouldn't have a problem, like, ever
Wow.
letting me stay at your place. She always had a problem. I don't know what it is with Hispanic parents. They don't let you have
Okay,
sleepovers.
we need to talk about this. This whole podcast is going to be about
Yes.
Hispanic parents.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's something with how they grew up. I think, being a woman and being a Latina, like growing up in Hispanic culture, there's very much, or was, not sure if it still happens, like a masculine, like fear, like against guys,
Yes.
like they're machistas. So I think
I agree.
when people come here and they become moms, they like want to protect their
Their
kids, and
kids.
they don't know that it's that stuff still happens here, but not as much as back where they're from. So it just comes from like a place of love.
I agree.
But like
Yes.
I understand that now. Like when I was like 15, 14, same as you, I'd be like, why can't I go sleep over
Yeah.
at Sally's house or something?
Yeah,
Like I
our
want to have
brains are so
fun.
innocent that we
Yeah,
don't even think that far. But yeah,
exactly.
now being a grown up, you're like, okay, yeah, you never know. Like the way my mom saw it was that way. Like you never know what can happen to you. Like I've never lost sight of you. So now that you want to do all these crazy grown up little girl things, like no,
Yeah.
you're not allowed. One of the other things that I was gonna say about a little background story was um that we reconnected a couple times. Yeah, so I have a couple things written here, like saw her here and there, but never reconnected after middle or high school that much. We hung around Sally a couple times. We
Yeah.
had like a couple bonfires. What else did we do around Sally? I feel like that was a very faint memory for me.
Um,
I just remember the bonfires.
yeah, I don't remember much, but I think it was just that. It was like, little high school parties and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But we really like disconnected and like I remember in school you were like part of the smart people group, and I'd be like, wow, she's
Smart
really
people,
smart.
girl. No, I
Yes.
mean the HSA.
Yeah.
I we would actually the HSA always compared themselves to the other what we called the smart people was
Oh, there was
the
another level of smart people. I didn't even know this. That's how you know how not
and
smart
we
it was.
at one point we were gonna do like a debate between the HSA and the gifted and talented. I forget what they were called. They had like I think it was the gifted and talented, but we were gonna have a debate over some history class, and we backed out because we were like, I don't think we're that smart, guys. We're gonna get blown away. This is gonna be embarrassing.
That would have been fun
But
to
that
watch.
is so funny that you looked at it that way because like we
Yeah.
were It was a shits and giggles
You're
kind of
basically like,
class.
we're not that
We're
smart.
not that smart. Quizlet got us through all that.
That's how you feel about college.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
like, oh, I forgot. This is going online. Just kidding. Did not use Quizlet for college.
Yeah, thanks, Quizlet. You got me through all of high school.
Yeah.
So one thing that I was gonna ask you, I have a couple questions.
Hmm.
First one was, how's life been?
It's been good. It's been weird. I feel like for everyone with like the life stuff, even like today, if you can't
Right.
tell, there's like smog outside. So just like the world and just like personal, I feel like I'm 23 now. So you're like around the same
24,
age. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I feel like those teen to like adult years are so profound and like
Yeah.
so like what the fuck? Like what's happening? I don't know what's happening. Like
What am I
half
supposed to be doing?
exactly like half your friends are like have it figured out and like, look like they're having a blast and the other part are so confused as you and and it's crazy. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's actually one thing that I would like to elaborate on because I feel like on social media it does look that way. I mean, I saw it
Yeah.
that way for you, honestly, because I know you have New Jersey Digest as one of your accounts.
Wait,
And
I want to correct that. It's NJ.com. It was
NJ.com.
NJ.com. Yeah.
Wait, so why'd you change it?
So it's just a different employer. So I was employed by New Jersey Digest, and now I'm employed by NewJersey.com.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So wait, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But so to go on to talk about social media, I feel like yes, everybody gets the idea that everyone is doing so well. You see
Mm-hmm.
everybody just showing up as, this career or doing this or graduating college and getting their masters. And you're
Yeah.
like, damn, am I behind? Did I miss something? Like,
Yeah.
why didn't I go to college? Like I went to college, I got my associates, but I didn't go back. I was like, I don't think college is for me. And I didn't want to waste money. But now I see other people that we graduated with, and I'm like, holy shit, like, did I miss something? Like, and it's just like that even when it's not for college, when it's like people are out partying, people are out on vacation, and you're like, I can
Yeah.
barely save up for to pay off my debt right now.
Yeah. No, don't believe. I feel like we have to stop believing everything we see on their screen. Like,
It's so easy to get caught
yeah,
up.
it's really,
Yeah.
really easy. Like, stop comparing yourself to other people. It sounds so cheesy, but it's so true. Like, I feel social media became popular because, like, in the beginning, because it's a way to connect to people.
Yeah.
It's like, what is she doing? I haven't seen her in X amount of years. Like, back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
like, if we stopped talking after school, like, we would have just never known what happened to each other. It would have been
Seriously.
like a big question mark. But now I feel like,
It's so
even though
easy.
we don't talk to each other that much, like, I'm like, oh, she got a new car. I just saw a post
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So I feel like constantly reminding yourself of it's a way to connect and not a way to compare. Always having that mindset really helps because then you just want to reach out to people and be like, how are you?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. But okay, so to get into New Jersey Digest and
Oh, God.
NewJersey.com,
Yes.
how did that happen, girl?
That happened through hard work and just doing,
Period.
yeah, doing what you want and just seeing where it takes you and not being scared. And no, you know what? I take that back. Being scared and doing it either way.
Yes, yes.
um, yes, life is really crazy. And if you don't have to know exactly what you want, I certainly didn't before I got the job I'm doing right now. But honestly, I still don't really know 1,000% what I want to do. Like, I hate when people are asked, like, what do you want to do like 10 years from now? I'm like, bro, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just thinking about what my next video is gonna be for this job, girl.
Exactly. And like how times are really changing. Like my job now didn't exist like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
In the next 10 years,
Insane.
like who knows? Like you see that new VR thing that
I
they're
saw
launching?
that.
Like in 10 years, who knows if we're all going to be living in there and not have jobs or
Yeah.
so just, stick to your gut, work hard and just don't give up.
Yeah,
Keep it
no, for
pushing.
sure.
Yeah.
And so I thought you had created New Jersey Digest, but so these are two different employers that
Mm-hmm.
came to you and said, "Hey, I want you to be featured on our website and bring more attention to our website." But how did that happen? Like, where did they find you? How did they come to you? Like,
So
what was a video that blew you up and
mm-hmm.
they found you and they were like, "Holy shit, this girl can really be an asset to our team."
Right. So just like I said, believe in yourself. They never came to me. I went to them.
Okay.
Okay. So New Jersey Digest was actually an internship. I was in college and majoring in business and knew I wanted to go into marketing. I love exploring New Jersey. I just love exploring everywhere. If you follow me, you know, like I like to do a bunch of crazy stuff. And so I just like naturally made videos. And then I saw them that I followed their page and I started tagging them, and that relationship kind of came organically. And so I got an internship there, turned into a job. And then I left them for NJ.com, which is a way bigger audience, and they cover more stuff. It's not just like things to do, it's like news,
News.
you know, it's
Yes, I
like what's
saw that.
happening. So yeah, that's how it came to be. Just like me reaching out and seeing like what's an internship near me, like being the best that I can be while I was being an intern, you know, asking like, hey, I wanna stay here. What's, you know, just being proactive and like stop waiting for things to come to you,
Yes.
start making them happen.
Right.
That's
And that goes
honestly how
for
it came. Yeah.
anything in life, for sure. Another thing that I was gonna ask you, um, so what was the first idea that came to mind when you first started realizing this is like the marketing that I want to do for New Jersey?
Was my first
Yeah,
idea.
like what was the video that you were like, you know what, this, like, were you somewhere and you were like, I want to turn this into a video right now and just start marketing places that people can go, places that people can eat, or did they
Yeah.
give you those tasks?
So before the video that I made that made me want to reach out about an internship in the first place, it was a play. It's a place called the Fort Lee Bridge, something like
Okay.
that. I just, again, organically, I love to explore, and organically, I love photo and film. So I was just taking videos, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel like growing up, I always heard there's nothing to do in New Jersey, you know,
That
like
is so
I'm
true.
like,
I was one of
honestly,
those.
some days
I'm
I'm still like, there's nothing to do
like,
in New Jersey. So I've always like, since I was a teenager, I've always wanted like make a page where I was like, okay, here's the things that you could do. I even at one point made, I don't know if it's still existing. Maybe you could find it somewhere in the, you know, internet, but a page called New Jersey Locations where I was gonna like post all my adventures. I ended up going the different route, obviously, which I thank God for, because like now I want to explore outside of New Jersey. I feel like I've done a lot here,
yeah.
but it was that video of that bridge because I've never seen it before. It's really beautiful. You've never been. There's a lot to do, and just like, you know, being an adult with a car, and like it's very different having your own things and being able to explore than when you're a kid or a teenager being like you're kind of stuck in the same place
Right.
because you can't explore. But once you grow up and you have your own coin and your own little car, you can
Car,
go
yeah.
and be like, oh my god, just 20 minutes
This
away from me
exists.
is like the
Yeah.
largest lake in the state. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's where that came from.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that because honestly, yeah, like living in little old, Wharton or Dover or wherever, it's just kind of like 5 minutes away from each other. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll do like little hikes. I go to the canal right here in Wharton. I'll go to like Mount Tammany to hike. I'll go to like other hikes, but like because I see them from other people's posts, not because I go out of my way. Now, when I see New Jersey Digest, when I see your posts, when I see newjersey.com, I'm like, I need to explore all these spots. Like you give me more
Aw,
ideas.
thank you.
And I'm like, I'll save them and I'll be like, this is a spot that I'm gonna hit with my boy. This is a spot I'm gonna hit with my girl. This is a spot I'm gonna hit by myself. So now I have more ideas to be able to go out. So thank you, yo,
Yeah,
because
of
you brought
course.
those ideas to life, and now other people like myself are like, this is something I have to do in the summer. Like I have to hit
Exactly.
this spot before the summer ends. I
Yeah.
remember you posted this speakeasy, or was it a speakeasy? It was like a hidden speakeasy or a
Yeah.
hidden bar
Mm-hmm.
within a restaurant in a pizzeria.
Yeah, that was like last
Oh
week.
my
Yeah.
God. I was like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, isn't that crazy that that stuff exists in New Jersey? And I feel like, I don't know, for people that live and grow up in the suburbs of New Jersey or
Yeah,
just really anywhere, it could be kind of hard to like imagine a place that's not your town.
right.
But those places exist. You just have to, you know, go out and find them.
Yeah.
That's
Do
good.
you look them up? Like, do you look these places up first, or how do they, like, do you and your boyfriend go, "Oh my God, I heard about, such and such. Can we go?"
So yes to all of that. You're
Yeah.
really asking all the questions.
I like, I need the deets, girl. I need the deets.
Yeah, it's all of those things. Sometimes it'll be like a friend of a friend of a friend was like, oh, you know where you should be. Actually, now it's funny you asked that. But now sometimes like I'll get recognized, like my videos is like, oh, you're that girl that does it. I'm like, yeah, yeah. So recently I was at the gym and someone was like, "Oh my God, hi, you should do a video about yada yada yada." And I was like, "Okay, I'll go check it out." So
Wow,
yeah,
that's awesome
it
because like you
depends.
don't have to think that hard. Even with podcasts, like yes, I shared all these ideas that I have, but sometimes like even yesterday I caught myself and I was like, I need to think of another topic. I don't want it to like, fall off. Like I need to
Hmm.
stay on top of it. And it's crazy because at some point it just people start to get the hang of what you do that they just bring them to you. You're like open arms with all these ideas and you just go ahead and like pick and choose whichever ones fit best for you,
Yeah,
which is so dope. Like, and just you wanting to come on here, I just want to say thank you because one, we haven't reconnected in so long.
yeah.
Two, you like allowed yourself to be vulnerable in something like this too. What you
Hmm.
do is one thing, like for like what, a minute or 2 or 3 minutes,
Yeah.
but this is like an hour long, 30 minutes. You're sharing
Hmm.
more vulnerability about your life, about what you do. So it's like a little bit different. It's a little bit more exposure of who you are, which I love. I
Aw.
love that,
Stop
people get
gassing
to
me
see
up.
people get to see like Christine. Like they get
Yeah.
to see more than, the marketing side of you.
No, yeah, I
So
appreciate that. Thank you for letting me come on here. I honestly, I low
absolutely.
key reached out just because I wanted to reconnect and be like,
Yeah.
"What's up? What's going on?
How
What's
are
yeah?
you?
How are
Yeah.
you?" Like I just remember you always being like a really good soul and always just like a great listener. And I was just like anything else I do, I'm like, it comes from genuine like curiosity,
Curiosity.
like, and yeah, and
Yeah.
now we're here. That's where that curiosity led. Is me being on a podcast. So yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm so happy that you came on. I do want to start off by sharing the topic. It's going to be stop hurting yourself. But we're going to kind of just organically, like you said,
Yeah.
let it flow. Like it will start off with the things about stop hurting yourself to let it lead to whatever else we feel like sharing and just talking about. So the first affirmation, do you want to do the honors or
Yeah,
should I?
I'll do mine. My
Yes.
first one is very short, but it's efficient. It's I think, therefore I am. And, it could be twisted into anything you want, which is what I like. So I think I am smart, therefore I am smart.
Period.
Yeah.
Okay. I put I am loved. So also very short and efficient.
Yeah.
I am loved. What was the other one? So we want two from each side.
The second one is I need more time to think about my second
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
But you know
So
what yours reminds me of? You ever seen that movie about a slave and like the daughter? No.
um
It's like I am. You are at the end. She goes, "I am loved. I am beautiful. I am." No.
mm-mm.
Okay. If you know that movie, let her know what it is because I forgot what it's called, and watch it. It's really really
Wow,
good.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, I am loved. My second one would be I heard it in a podcast and it stuck with me and I made it a part of my like everyday affirmation is the opposite of what I want and need to succeed does not exist in this lifetime, therefore I will get everything I want and need to succeed.
Wow. Period. Okay. I'm gonna look mine up on my phone because I
Yeah,
have
of
mine on
course.
my phone.
From there we can move on to the topic. So the beauty about podcasts for me is that they just happen so I like that word organically because
I
I want
can
to use it
tell you're like
again.
organic, organic.
Yeah, like it's just a conversation. It's just you just let it flow. The whole purpose of it is just to connect, and I feel like that's one of the things that I struggled with in the beginning, like being able to be open about just anything, like even just
Hmm.
talking in front of the camera. Now I'm just kind of like, it is what it is.
Yeah, I can tell you're very like open and like yada yada yada.
Whatever.
I'm kind of it's my first time if you can't tell.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like I don't know. But it's fun. That's one of my like things. It's like and anything can really be an affirmation, right?
Absolutely anything
Right?
at
So it's like
all.
an it's any statement. So I guess for me, my second one is like I am brave enough to take the leap of faith. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that even goes with like things like this. Like,
Yes.
I've never done a podcast before. Walking in, talking to someone that you haven't talked to in like years can be a little
Nerve
intimidating
wracking.
and be
Yes.
like, I hope they're still a good person. I hope they're still,
I
fun
hope
to
we
talk
still
to.
connect.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, for
question
sure.
mark. So just, take that leap of faith and like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah,
You
you
know?
learn something from
Yeah,
every little thing you experience.
exactly.
And this is like just going back to the last podcast I did with Dimitri, it's like getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, you know?
Yeah.
Cuz like yes, this can be uncomfortable if you make it that way, if you set your mind to focus on that uncomfortability. I don't know if that's even a word, but
We're making it a word.
yeah, at this point, right? But if you're comfortable with that, and it's also like another thing I've realized that I like about myself is that I'm good with helping others feel comfortable in situations that they're normally not. So that's one thing about I have this topic that I'm gonna talk about more further in detail on another podcast, but
Stay
like
tuned.
yeah, like vibe finding your tribe, like being able to understand that your vibe is unique. So I've been in certain situations where for example, I went to my friend's Memorial Day weekend party and she brought a new friend over, and the friend spoke mostly Spanish and not too much English. But my friend is full on white. She's like a white girl, and she's
Okay.
like, I don't know how to introduce her to any of these people in Spanish, or like she speaks English, but I want her to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So she kind of directed her to me, and I was like, I can't with you, girl. And so me and her just vibed. I was like, hey, what's up? Because she knows like you're gonna make her feel like that. Like you're gonna make her feel like she knows everyone, or that she can get to know everyone without feeling uncomfortable. So I do. I'm just like, hey girl, what's up? Like I would not want to feel that way around people. So it's so easy for me to just be open arms and just be like, I'm here. Like
Yeah.
we can talk about anything and everything. I am here to even laugh if you want. If you don't want to talk, I'm cool with that too. But I just know I'm gonna be blabbing on and on because even though I might feel a little nervous, I kill that nervous by saying, just be yourself. Just be yourself. You have nothing to lose by just being yourself and bringing the best version of yourself to the table. And it's you know who you connect with. You can feel that energy,
Yeah.
like right from the jump, you'll see like if somebody's just like more quiet and like, oh hi, you're like, oh shit, this is gonna be hard, you know?
Yeah, okay, so I have a question to ask you. I know it's supposed to be the other way around, but I'm gonna flip it for a
No,
little
yeah, yeah,
second.
yeah.
Like, how long did it take you? I feel like you came out the womb that way because she's always been like that, or at least like from what I can recall.
Yeah.
Um, how did you gain that sort of mindset?
Um, well, I used to. This is a hard question because, like, I don't want to blame anything on anyone, but I feel like being stuck in a really unhealthy relationship, I lost a lot of my confidence, and I didn't know who I was for a good 3 years. And as soon as I like left that relationship and I started therapy and I started to like I just I did one thing, and that one thing was waking up early and going to the gym. And that itself just brought back so much confidence. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, let me try something new that I feel uncomfortable in the beginning with, and let's just see how it goes. Then my friends invited me to go to Poconos. One of my guy friends was like, hey, let's go to Poconos. I hadn't talked to all of these people from high school in years, maybe like 2 years, 3 years, the years that I was married. And so I was like, oh, this is gonna be so uncomfortable. Like I can't imagine how I'm gonna feel. Like I'm just gaining back that confidence. And yeah, you can be comfortable taking a picture, making a video behind Snapchat, but it's different when like your
Real
identity
life.
comes out. Yeah, when your
Yeah.
identity comes out in real life. So I and like with some of these people, I already had these uh like how do I say it? I already had like these perspectives. Like, oh,
Okay.
so and I back then didn't really connect. So and I back then they laughed at me. So and
Oh,
I back then we were cool.
who laughed at you? I want to
Yeah.
know. Give me their social security number. Why would they laugh at you?
So then I was like, but you know what? And like this is really what brought it out. It was like, you know what? I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna be who I am. Like I have nothing to lose with just being who I am. I wouldn't have gotten
Yeah.
invited to this if they didn't feel comfortable bringing me around these people again. So I just went, got drunk, made a fool out of myself, just did all these things. And in that same situation, one of my friends brought her cousin, and that cousin also only spoke Spanish.
What's up with these people only speaking Spanish and then coming just to you?
And I was like, hey, you want to play pool? Like, we just all started playing pool. And like, from there, like, I guess that one friend was like, wow, like, she's really connecting with my cousin, and like all he
Yeah,
does is speak
vibing.
Spanish, vibing, and she doesn't even know him. But from that conversation with him, he started to get more comfortable, and then everyone started to like realize like, okay, we're all comfortable right here. We're all in a good group here.
Yeah,
That's really what brought it out of me. And then now, at first I was scared of the camera. I was making videos when I was sad and just recently grieving both my divorce and my mom's death.
right.
And like I turned on the camera, felt so uncomfortable, and I was crying, and I was like, I can't believe this is happening to me. Like all my clothes in the back of the car, and like just showcasing everything. I'm like, Jesus, like this is gonna be such a tough conversation to have with myself right now, but who cares? I'm gonna look at this years from now, and I'm gonna laugh at this moment. And I kept having that thought. So I feel like just getting so comfortable with the times that I was so uncomfortable and like crying and sad and so not confident, like at my lowest of the lowest, rock bottom is what brought me to this moment. And I was like, I have to take advantage of the fact that I'm growing into this adult and like reopening myself up, reinventing myself, like learning new things, wanting more for myself, building that confidence, and
Yeah,
like switching up my mindset. Then when I met my therapist, she kind of just like, she was the one that like took me
your
out of
whole
my
world
cocoon.
changed.
Yeah. She was like the one, the creator of my whole new reality, because
Wow.
she was like, listen, you have nothing to lose. That was one of the things she always stressed me. You have nothing to lose with trying something new. You have nothing to lose with journaling. You have nothing to lose with going to the gym and getting after whatever body you have in a year from today.
Hmm.
You have nothing to lose with anything. So I was like, I really don't. And little by little, I started incorporating other stuff like podcasts, listening to other people talk about their life. And that's when I realized, like, yeah, I really, there is nothing to lose. Like if I die tomorrow, at least I made a podcast with Christine Perez again, you know? And like this
Yeah,
way we connected, and what is there to lose? I post this and who's gonna say what? What, you know? It said when people judge you, it like says more about them than you. And that's one thing I
yeah,
learned. I used to be so afraid of judgment and what people would think. And don't get me wrong, it's not like it turned around right away and it's like, oh my God, I'm back to normal and fuck what people say. No, there's times when I still get caught up and I'm like, oh my God, like, what are they going to say if I say this? Or what are they going to say if I post this? And it's like, who cares what they say? Like, at the same time, am I going to live to somebody else's standards? No.
yeah.
So, yeah, long story short, here we are.
Okay,
Here we
that
are.
all makes sense. I want to add to that with on top of it, like, who knows what tomorrow may bring. It's also like it's not that serious.
It
Whatever you're
really
like
isn't.
worried about or stressing about. Okay, granted, there are some things that like adulthood bills they're
Yeah.
serious, but for most part, like your anxieties, like small talk and stuff like that, those will not kill you.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it is I have a younger brother. He's 6 years old. And when he was born, it like completely changed my mindset on stuff because now I see him with his little friends interacting. And I kind of view myself now in like, I view myself as my own mom. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense,
I
but
know what you mean.
you,
Because of
okay.
Kobe.
Oh, yeah, Tom. Oh my
Yeah.
God, how is
He's
he?
so good. I mean, I haven't seen him in 2 years. So,
Really? Oh
yeah,
my God.
that's another topic for the family situation that I was
Yeah.
talking about. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean by the whole mom thing.
Yeah, like you start viewing yourself as your own, like, tip. I don't know if this is like the life hack. View yourself as your own mom, and it's not that serious. Like, would you want to see your little kid not play in the playground because they're too, shy to talk to the other kids? No, you want your kid to like, go on the
Branch
swings
out.
if they want to go on the swings, and you
Yeah.
want them to live out their best lives. So that's what I started doing because I saw how much love and care I put into my little brother, and I wanted that for myself too. He kind of taught me how to take care of
Of
myself.
yourself. Yes.
And just seeing that it's not serious. Like he will go to the playground and like maybe he doesn't vibe with the kid. And he's just like, kids don't care.
Yeah, they
They're just
just
like,
move
okay,
on. Short
whatever.
term memory
Yeah,
loss.
literally. They're just like, okay, I'm just gonna go doodle over here or get ice cream. Like it's not
Yeah.
the end of the world. And I
Yeah.
think being around that energy like helps. Like it's not like a little kid just bounced back from that so fast. It's probably not gonna stay
Yeah.
with him. So having that mentality of it's not serious and just knowing how to take care of yourself is
Mm-hmm.
really huge for that.
Yeah, I feel like also positive thinking, always reinforcing positive thoughts. I know sometimes even like when I first started real estate, I noticed certain people were always so serious. And I would
Mm.
walk around them and I was like, I'm not going to say hi to her because she's always so serious. I could tell she doesn't want to talk to me. And then one time I was like, hi, so and so. And then
Yeah.
they would just look at me. And I was like, all right, she doesn't want to say hi, whatever. If it was me back in the days with my low self confidence, low self esteem, I would have been like, oh my God, she hates me. Oh my God, what did I do? Oh my God. And I would have beat myself up. But now I'm like, who cares? You don't want to say hi? You don't want to say hi. You're not having a good day? You're not having a good day. But why am I going to
Exactly.
let that ruin me?
It's
You
not
know?
always about you. Like
Yeah.
you said, it could she just could be having a whack day,
Yeah.
something might have just happened.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just about just moving in your flowing in your wavelength, and people are going to match you there, other people are going to, have a lower wavelength, a higher wavelength, and it's just a matter of just finding that like balance within, people, and knowing that nothing is serious. Like, yeah, obviously, like she said, granted, there's things that are taken seriously, and
Mhm.
when things are serious, but when it comes to stuff like that, like little things,
Yeah.
it's like let them go. Short-term memory loss. Don't let it affect
Just
you.
pretend you have short-term memory loss. That's our advice for today. Some groundbreaking advice.
Oh man, but all right, so let's get into this topic. Stop hurting yourself.
Hmm.
So the one thing I was telling Christine before we started this podcast that I wanted to talk about that related to me the most was, um not only did I realize that the talks that I kept having in my brain about what I wanted to do, and I wouldn't do it. Like, I would say, I really want this body. I really want this to be this fit. I want my body to be toned. I want to have a big butt. I want, all these things I used to say to myself. I just said them. Like, I would never go out and do them. Like, I would never actually take the action to go to the gym and spend 30, 45 minutes working out, or anything. I just didn't take action. It was always just a thought. Oh yeah, I'll go back to school whenever I figure out what I want to do, and then never actually figure out what I wanted to do. Like, it was never, I never took that first step to actually going through with it. Another thing that I realized is, like, I would always just do negative things. So, like, for me, not to say that weed is negative, but for me, I felt like I used it in negative ways, or like I it made it so that I only it was just a negative process for me in my life. So I would smoke waking up, I would smoke in the middle of the day, I would smoke late at night, all combining it to just me being lazy, to me be just not doing anything productive, not chasing after the body I wanted, not chasing after the career I wanted, not even giving me a second to think about what am I going to do next. And like now that's all I think about. Like, okay, so what's next? What's next? What's
Yeah,
next?
you have that hustler
Yeah,
mentality.
hustle mentality. I didn't have it back then. And like, I do think that it's who you surround yourself with. They always say, like, you are the equivalent of the seven people you're around, and just being
I
around
want to talk
people.
to whoever made that because I don't know seven people. So who am I like? But okay, continue.
But yeah, so like, whoever you're around is really what's shaping who you are, because it's
Yeah.
like, if you're around negative people who are negative talking, doing negative self-talk, and not really doing much to move up, it's like that's where you're going to stay, because your circle, like, that's the energy that you're surrounding yourself with. No matter how hard you try to get out of it, those people are just kind of reinforcing all that negativity, all that energy, that you're like, damn, I'm only going to be stuck in this moment with these people, and this is my mindset for forever. If I don't find people who are like talking about, for example, I was at work the other day and I'm sitting down reading my book, it's dead. We're waiting for a single person to just walk in and ask me for some food.
Mm.
It's so slow. I'm reading my book and I'm sitting, I'm like, Eric, what should I do to make money? Like, what's the next move? Like, how can I have passive income while still having this job?
Oh, I love that idea
And
of passive income.
right.
Yeah.
And then he was like, buy a vending machine. And I was like, what do you mean? And like, it didn't come to mind, like, holy shit, I could buy a vending machine and put it in a hospital, or put it in, a grocery. Well, no, not a grocery store, because you can get the stuff that you buy in a vending machine in a grocery store, but putting it in places where people are going to grab that laundry mats when people are waiting for their clothes. And then kids are like, Ma, I want a Snickers. They go on that vending machine, they get the freaking Snickers. Like, and that's like
Or
little
owning a
past,
freaking laundromat.
or owning a freaking
Yeah.
laundromat. And these are the kind of people you need to be around, because then it brings, it's like, starts to like open up new ideas to the things you're already wondering. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, like, if I hang around so and so who's always, I don't know, sitting on their ass or going to their 9 to 5 and then not thinking about anything else, they're just so stuck in that direct path. then you're like, you're not like me. But I couldn't ask you questions like this because you're probably not going to even know yourself. You're not going to be interested in
Right.
those kinds of things. But when you're around people who are hungry like you start to realize, holy shit, like that is an idea I could do. Buy a vending machine, you know, own my own laundromat, or be a part of this and that. I don't know, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But that's one thing. So one thing with weed that I've noticed is that it kept me from being proactive, like going out there and just chasing a bag, or being in the mindset of what's next. And it was just the habits that I instilled with weed. I feel like I also would come home and I would smoke and then go to bed, and I would wake up feeling just so lazy the next day, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to wake up. And I set up this like routine, and I have it written down over there on my board, where
Is
it's
that what
like,
all those papers
yes,
are? Wow.
all those things are just things that I've like in my head. How am I going to be better tomorrow? How am I going to be better in 5 years? What do I have to do to have a millionaire mindset? And so I made a routine, and I said every day I have to wake up around 6 o'clock. And granted, it still hasn't happened. Doesn't happen overnight. It's just like you have to take time with yourself, be gentle with yourself, and just chase after it and know that it's gonna happen. I'm waking up at 7 right now. And that already is like such a huge like, I don't know, moving up in the world for me, because I used to get up at 11, 10, 12,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, damn, half my day is
Gone.
gone.
Yeah.
And now waking up at 7, I get up morning, I do a little morning meditation in this area, I journal, I grab a glass of water, I'll sit down, I'll maybe read a page or two from my book, and then I'll head out and I'll go to the gym. Come back, and then I'll make myself some food if I have time. If I don't, I'm rushing out the door to go to the office for real estate. But that already gets me going in the mindset that I'm getting after it. I'm doing the things I have to do. So
Mm-hmm.
with weed in the way, I always just felt like I didn't stay responsible or on top of the things that I wanted to do. So it's a habit that I had to set boundaries with, like healthy boundaries with. So in order for me to stop hurting myself and hurting what I wanted to be and wanted to do, I had to set those healthy boundaries and tell myself, okay, weed can only be involved in my life when, one, I'm not doing absolutely anything, and all the things that I wanted to get done have been done. Two, if I'm at a party, a gathering, somewhere with my friends, and we're all just kind of enjoying each other's time and energy, that's a perfect time to do it. But whenever I'm behind a goal or doing something for myself, I cannot and will not involve weed. And that is just a boundary that I had to set for myself in order for me to really not only just stay disciplined, but like stay in the mindset that I'm chasing something, that I want something better for myself. Because it was like a cycle. Like I would wake up, tell myself all the things that I want to be and want to do in order to success, in order to reach success,
Mm-hmm.
and then not do it because I smoked. And then I'd wake up again and I'd be like, damn, I didn't do it yesterday. I'll try to do it today.
It was
And it
a
was just
coping
like,
mechanism. Yeah.
yeah, it was just like
A cycle. Yeah.
negative reinforcement. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to stop it. But anything in regards to stopping the process of hurting yourself that you feel you could share with the public?
Yeah. I mean, similar to you, I feel like, again, we're both in our 20s. We're both young. We're still
Yeah.
kicking it.
And that's another thing you told me today, that I have to remind myself. I'm very hard on myself. And you said,
Yeah.
dude, you're still in your 20s. And
Yeah.
it's just like in my head, it's like, holy shit, like
I'm just gonna
I need
randomly
to,
text you, be like,
girl, you're
dude,
still
you're
in
still
the
in your
20s.
20s. And when we're 30, girl, you're still in your 30s. And then when we're 50, we're gonna be like, girl, you better have your shit together because you're 50.
Girl, you better have your shit together because it's half a century now.
Yeah. Yep. You want to live to the next 50? Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like I understand what you're saying for the environment thing. I'm not a morning person naturally. I actually took a DNA test. By the way, you can tell your DNA can tell you if you're a morning or night person. I didn't
How?
know that.
What do I
I don't
do?
freaking know what they do, but I did one of their, like ancestry DNA
Yes.
type thing. I did that, and it comes back with like personality traits, like where you're more likely to, you're less likely to. Mine came like straight in the middle, but I swear that it's like a little smudged over to night person.
Oh
But you can do that, and like
That's
me and a
great.
bunch of my friends did that, and they're like, oh my god, it totally is correct. I'm totally a morning person. So I feel like don't be so hard on yourself if you're having a hard time like getting used to waking up early, and we live in a world where you have to get up early for work and all that, and it can be tough, especially when you have to reinforce it yourself. So don't be too hard on yourself. And what you said about environment, who you hang out with, is like huge. I'm naturally not a morning person, right? So what I do to get up in the morning now, and this recently started, like maybe not recently, I guess it's been half a year now. My best friend and I also go to the gym in the morning, not as early as 6 a.m. because girl, calm down. Like at 7 in the morning, she comes and picks me up, because you're right. Like having that environment that will help you reinforce good decisions is
Yeah.
huge. But again, don't be disappointed if you don't have like a huge group of friends that they're all striving for the same goal. You just need
Right.
one, if you can. If you can get them, convince them to like go to the gym with you or do something, work towards something. And if you don't have anyone, then be that for yourself. You don't have to absolutely have a huge support system to get started. Oftentimes I find, at least in my life, I was that person that started, like, career wise. I was
You
the
pushed
first. I
yourself.
pushed myself, and what I started to see is that people around me started doing that. So if you don't have that already, start doing that for yourself, and you'll see how things
Yes.
change.
And how
Because
you change other
yeah,
people.
exactly, and that's like honestly such a gift, because then you're breaking. It gets deeper into like generational stuff, but
Yeah.
that breaks a lot of cycles, not just for you, but for the people that you love, and you
Mm-hmm.
you become an example, and that's awesome, because all you want to see is like, people live their best
Succeed,
lives.
yes.
Yeah.
And when you're the cause of that, when you start to realize that you're affecting other people, you're like, holy shit, why didn't I do this before?
Mhm.
How did I not know that, by me having this self talk with myself could in turn eventually change the entire world around me.
Yeah.
And it just shifts it. Like, I feel like even with my relationships with friends and everything, just voicing our own feelings now, it was like so weird for us before, and now it's like so normal, because one uncomfortable conversation brought us not just closer, but it's like now I'm gonna be more comfortable being able to share this with her, because she
Yeah.
felt so comfortable sharing that with me.
Yeah.
And it's just like it really does shape the way other people around you feel or think or talk. And I've had other people come up to me and say, wow, I've seen you do this, and like it's inspired me to want to read a book or bring it to
Oh.
work. And
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
huge.
wow.
Dude, honestly, okay, this is gonna be so bad, but I didn't read my first book until I was like 20 years old.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like, no, like, how in school they're like, read this book in the summer. Never
Never
read
read
it, never
it.
read it. Solely relied on like Spark Notes and stuff like that. And I felt so much shame for the longest
Never.
time
Me
because of
too.
that. I was like, first of all, it's boring, yada yada. And then I found a book I liked. Like, what
Me
they say
too.
about reading is true. Like, you have to find something that connects to you. It's like
Hmm.
watching a TV show. Like, if you don't like horror, you're not gonna like a horror book.
Yeah.
So you gotta kind of see it that way, and then also have like patience with yourself. But yeah, I totally get what you're
Yeah,
saying.
absolutely. I remember you were mentioning a point about inaction.
Yes.
And
So basically, kind of to echo what I said before, of if you don't put that first step, if no one's there to help you, then it's never going to get done. I feel like inaction stops a lot of us from reaching what we could be doing, like tapping into our untapped potential. We have
yes.
so much to give to the world, and I feel like inaction doesn't serve any of us. It can be as little as like going outside for a walk, or reaching out, or just taking a leap of faith. Like for me, I know I talked about like career wise, reaching out to companies and being like, do you want to work together? Like I could have easily been like, oh my God, it's a huge company. Who's going to care?
They're not gonna
Girl,
pay
they're not
attention
going
to
to
me.
care.
Yeah.
Like what? Like if they would have answered, not answered, I'm sure I probably would have been like, oh no, like end of the
Yeah.
world. But
And
I would have
moved
gotten
on.
over it. But
Yeah.
like something as recently as like, okay, so for work, I'm in front of a camera, usually like talking about news, not talking about myself. So this is a little different. But I remember my first video that I had to do, like talking on the camera, delivering. You know how it was a not even minute video. You know how long it took me to record?
How long?
It took like 4 hours.
No
Yes,
way.
yes, 4 freaking hours for
That's a
like a
whole
one.
shift, girl.
That's a half a shift for
Almost.
me. And I remember it was, I think, my first week of work, and I was crying, and I was like talking to my boyfriend, I was like, I don't think I can do this. They hired the wrong person. I don't know
Mm.
what the heck I was thinking.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then I like went into, I spiraled down and, you know, ultimately it got done. And if you look at that first video, it's a hot mess. It's, I've gotten so much better. But if you don't start, if I hadn't started that first one and gotten through that rough patch, I wouldn't be 20 videos in now.
Yeah,
You have
right.
to be be okay with being bad.
Yeah.
You have, because
Everything starts
yeah,
somewhere.
that was my biggest thing, honestly. Perfection, and it's still kind of is. I wanted, when I first started, like, I wanted everything to be perfect. I was like, no, this has to look this way, I have to sound this way, I have to look this way. And then I'm like, you should aim for progress, not perfection. Like, you're
Yes.
never gonna reach that. Perfect is always changing, and perfect is an opinion. So what
Yeah.
you think is perfect might be ugly
To
as
someone
fuck.
else,
I don't
and
know if I
what?
can curse, but it could be
Yeah.
bad for someone else.
Yeah, or what you might think is bad, other people are like, "Oh my god, I loved it," and you're like,
Exactly.
oh, "You, that took me
Exactly.
4 hours."
Exactly.
You
And people
know?
don't know that when they see
Yeah.
that. So, be just take that leap of faith and don't let not doing something or something being too scary stop you. Work with it, like, little by little, you'll get there.
Yeah, another thing I wanted to piggyback on from that point is that stopping the negative talk. So another way to stop hurting yourself is stopping the negative talk towards yourself, like how you said, "Oh, they picked the wrong person." You know what I'm saying? Like all those things. I One thing that my therapist always says is whatever you say out loud is eventually going to manifest in itself, or you're always just going to believe that.
Yeah.
If you continue to say me and this person are incompatible, for example with my love life, like I talked about my love life in the last podcast, but I'm talking to someone, and at one point we were having an issue, and I was like, oh, I just think we're incompatible, and I'm telling my therapist this, and
Yeah.
she's like, stop saying that, because you saying that to yourself and thinking that and knowing that, you're going to manifest it into being incompatible. So
Yeah.
even by you saying, "Oh, they picked the wrong person," it's just gonna manifest in them being like, "Oh, we don't need you anymore," and you're gonna be like, "Damn, I was right. They picked
Yeah.
the wrong person," and it's like, no, they picked me because I showed them that I had the potential to do it. And same thing with a relationship. Me and this person might not be compatible now, but that doesn't mean that our universes can collide and combine and eventually be one. Meeting somebody can be so hard, because with friendships, relationships, anything, even with family members, when you lose touch with someone, or getting to know a family member on a deeper level, you don't understand their struggle, their habits, the way they think. It's just their stuff compared to how you act, your habits, your goals, your
Yeah.
mindset. It's two different universes, and when you bring them together, it's like, okay, we are going to find where we intertwine and how we can intertwine it, and coexist. So anything negative, any type of negative talk can lead to you manifesting it in that way, because you already reinforced it and you already kind of like believed it in your head. So stop the negative talk. That's one way you are probably hurting yourself the most, because I saw this thing on my book that it said you have about 3,000, 2,000 to 3,000 thoughts per hour.
That's a
And
lot of thoughts.
that's a lot of
That's a lot of
thoughts.
freaking thoughts.
And I'm like, holy shit. If Imagine if all those thoughts were negative, and you're giving it that much power every hour. We have 12 hours, 24 hours in a day.
Hmm.
Let me just do the math real quick. 24 hours in a day,
She
and
pulled out her calculator for 24 hours.
3,000 thoughts an hour. So 24 hours, that's 72,000 thoughts.
You see, you were in that smart group. You belonged
Like,
there.
holy shit. You have to switch the subject, like the mindset. You have to be able to tell yourself, you know what? Like, I can do it. Even if you might not believe it, fake it till you make it. I can do it. I'm here for a reason. This video is gonna come out like shit, and the next one's gonna come out like shit, but the third one's gonna be the best one. And it's like it starts somewhere. Like you said,
Hmm.
don't reach for perfection. If the first one's bad, just know that the next one's going to be better, and it's all about progress. And that's one thing I learned with this podcast, with my life in general. Like, growing into the self confidence that I have now, it took a long time for me to get here. And like, I did a
Yeah.
lot of crying, and I still do. I beat myself up, girl.
That's
Like,
important that you share that because people might
yeah,
be hearing this and they're like, "Oh, she did all this. How did she get over it?" She
yeah,
still does it.
yeah,
Just at a smaller
absolutely.
level. Like you get better,
Absolutely. Yeah,
progress.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And people don't see that because I don't share that as much. I used to, like, on my Instagram, I share my vulnerability, the times that I've cried, and like the really, sad parts of how what it was like to lose my mom, and
Yeah.
all that it dragged. It was much more than that, the jealousy I felt with certain friends for having parents. Like, there was a lot of stuff that I will eventually get to eventually in this podcast that I want to open up about. I don't feel ready for it because it's so much that I felt. Like, it was just a lot of feeling that I have to go back to and really like sit down with myself and say, okay, now I know what that meant, or what that brought. Right
Mhm.
now I feel like, because I'm still kind of going through it, it's like I feel like I'm not truly ready to talk about it and say I'm past it. I still have those kind of thoughts in my head. I still go
Yeah.
through it a little bit, and so eventually it will come to fruition where I can be like, listen, this is how I felt, this is what I thought, and I'm open to sharing it. I feel like I am ready to share. It's just like I need to sit down with myself and think about it a
Ease
little
into
more.
it. Yeah.
Yes. But that's one of the biggest things. Stopping the self-negative talk. It starts there because we don't really realize how important the mindset is, but that is the one thing that really leads us to taking that action, that being that proactive. It's
Mhm.
changing that mindset and saying, I'm going to go after that. What There's nothing that's going to stop me from going after that. And knowing the goal that you're chasing, like when you went into marketing, at first you were like, I don't know exactly where I'm going to head with this, but
Live, laugh, love. Go for
yeah, yeah, live, laugh, love,
it.
yo. And she said, I'm gonna reach out to New Jersey Digest. I'm gonna reach out to NewJersey.com. Who knows if I get it? Who knows if I don't? But I'm
Yeah.
gonna just do it. And you walked into it just like not really putting too much out there to where it's like, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it, and then disappointing yourself. You just said, who cares if I get it or if I don't? Like, I'm just gonna
I mean, I was still a
shoot
little
my shot.
disappointed because, okay, another thing, I didn't just reach out to them. I reached out to hundreds of people. And I hear this from a lot of success stories. It's like, I think whoever wrote the Harry Potter book or something, they submitted their book to like a lot of publishers and most of them said no, but it just takes one person to say yes.
Yeah.
So honestly, like I still have that first email that said like, heck no, like what the
Yeah, yeah.
no,
Even
like
with real estate too.
yeah.
I
Oh my
had
God, you
that.
get that like every day. And
Yeah.
it just, you become more used to it. It just doesn't become a big deal anymore.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
right. Because like with real estate, of course you get rejection from sellers or from, people who you're calling, but even with the broker, like when I first got my license, I remember I was going through Indeed looking for different brokerages that like I wanted to just reach out and see what fit best for me. And
Hmm.
I didn't want to go into Wiker, believe it or not, because I was like, oh, they're just so generic. Like, they're just everyone knows white girl. Like, should I stand out and be part of like, so and so realty? And then I was like, but no, because everyone knows white girl, because white girl is just, when you hear real estate, you think of white girl, you
Hmm.
know? You don't think of, I don't know, so and so group from, whatever other realty. You see the black and yellow balloons, or you see the black and yellow open house, and you're like, that's white girl, because
Yeah.
white girl is black and yellow. And so it's like, why not? Like, that is the way to go, that is the entryway. And I was over here trying to look for all these other things. White girl like opened the door for me. My manager, like, she was just like, come over here, like, we're gonna talk, forget about everything else, you belong over here. And I was like, this is how I should feel, this is what it should feel like for me.
Yeah.
When I first started applying to all these other groups and realties that were just like, I don't know. If I told you the names, you'd be like, "Who is that?" But if when I was applying to these things, one of them called me, and I was telling them like, "Listen, my situation's a little rocky because I'm not gonna leave my full time job as a server, since this is really what pays my living. I don't have anybody to really go back and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna quit my job, mom. I'm gonna, or dad or whatever on, can I live with you for 6 months in the meantime while I build my career?" I don't have that opportunity. So it's like, do you think I fit in this environment with you guys? I want you to know that I'm gonna put my 100% into this as much as I'm putting my 100% into my full time job. And he didn't believe me. Like, he was just kind of like, well, I think what you really need to do is save up money and then call us in 6 months when you have 6 months of worth of money to like saved up. And then this way I'll be able to approve you to come into the office and meet
Hmm.
the rest of the group or whatever, and then we'll get you started here with the team. And I'm like, but I kind of want to get started now. Like, I need, my
Yeah.
license is gonna expire if I don't find a brokerage. And so he's like, oh, don't worry, we'll like send you an email, we'll get you started, we'll hang up your license, and then in 6 months we'll see you. But that wasn't helping me because it's like I want to do it now. Like, 6 months from now, I'm not gonna have any progress in real estate if I just save money from my other job. Like, I'm even gonna get discouraged to even go into it. It's just like I want to start now. And
There's no
so,
time like the present.
right.
Yeah.
So it's like some people will say no. And like I cried that day because I was like, damn, like my situation's tough. Will anybody accept my situation the way that it is? Like, will anybody believe in the fact that I can still do it no matter what full time job I have on the side? Like, I'm gonna make sure that I like succeed. I'm gonna make sure that I can prove myself. And Weicker did that. Like, Weicker was open arms with me. My manager was like, "Girl, you're gonna do it. You're gonna achieve
Wow.
this." And all it took was just her and my mentor Ernesto to tell me that, like, girl,
Is he the
there's,
guy in the videos?
yes.
Okay.
He was like, there's other girls here that are like part time. They do this part time. They're barely in the office and they're still getting their deals. They're still getting things done. They still have, sales. And
Hmm.
it's just like that itself is just inspiring for me because it's like, yes, if they can do it, I can do it. And like that's the kind of self talk that you need to have. And when you have other people around you, that circle that's telling you all these positive things, which brings me back to the 7 people that you surround yourself, you're equivalent to that. It reinforces that positivity. It lets you know, like, I am in a good space, I am in a good group, I chose the right path, I chose a good brokerage. So yeah, self-talk, negative self-talk can really affect your first move, it can affect your second move, it can really affect what direction you choose in life. So it
Yeah.
all starts with the mindset. Really be positive with the mindset. Be direct with your goals. Be direct with where you're going and what you want to achieve. And I promise you, everything else falls into place. And one thing that we wanted to talk about that was journaling.
Yeah.
Journaling is another great thing to set your goals, like to really write down. And I know we were talking about how hard it is
Hmm.
to journal for some people.
Yeah, I when I thought of journaling, when I first started, I was like, oh, that's something like little kids do.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I maybe like when I was 6 year old, I had a
Dear
journal.
diary.
Exactly, girl. When I was 20, that's how I started my first journal.
Me
Dear
too.
diary,
Dear
dear diary.
journal?
Yeah,
Question
yeah, exactly.
mark.
It can be cheesy to think about,
Yeah.
like who the frick journals, but I saw this quote, and I obviously can't remember it now because that's how my brain works. Um, it's basically like your writing brings out what your unconscious mind is thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a lot of people, when they hear journal, they think they have to have something already in mind.
Yeah.
The best way to journal, in my experience, is when you think you have nothing to talk about,
Yeah.
because then you pick up the pen and then you're all of a sudden like crying. You're like, oh
Yeah.
my
Oh my God.
god,
And I've recorded myself in those situations too,
yeah.
where I'm like, I'm coming home from work, I'm journaling and I'm crying, and I was like, I did not think I had all of this in my head until I
Yeah,
started writing.
exactly. It'll bring out what you were suppressing in your head for some
Yeah.
reason. The first time I journaled was like, I think it was on New Year's Day, like the second the clock hit 12.
Yeah.
I think during the pandemic,
Okay.
because I felt so isolated. I was going through so many mental health stuff, and it was just such a tough night for me. And I just remembered being like, babe, give me a pen and paper. I'm such a drama queen. I was like that. And then all of a sudden, like, it's the next day, it's like 12:01 and I'm still writing. And my boyfriend's like, are you okay? I'm like, leave me alone. Like, I'm still writing. And then I ended up with like 5 pieces of paper.
Wow.
And that year was when I graduated college, when I got my internships and yada yada. And it was such a great way to start the year. It's like reflecting, like, what are my feelings? You can't get anywhere if you don't know where you're starting. You need
Yeah.
to know what the heck you're actually thinking to process it. and to, keep going, to make any sort of plan, you need to know what your resources have and what's in your head.
Yeah.
So start with a pen and paper.
And like she said, like it doesn't, you don't have to know what to write. Even in the moment, like at first I was like, does it have to make sense? And my therapist always said, girl, your brain is like thinking one thing, then moving to the next, and then thinking another thing, and then what am I gonna do next? She's like, just go after it. Just write whatever. It doesn't have to make sense. If you're feeling mad, upset, angry, you know what she also told me? She was like, whenever you're done reading or writing it, because I used to tell her, I was like, I have a hard time reading back what I read, right? What I write. Like, I can't read my own thoughts that I write
Oh,
on
wow.
paper. And she was like, why? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I feel uncomfortable. And
Huh.
she's like, then just burn it. She's like, just burn it.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I
You
would,
burn yourself?
no, like,
I'm like, no, that many cheese, like, and
she's
Yolanda
like,
would just be burning her thoughts.
she was like, write it all out, and if you don't want to read it, crumple it up and then just burn it and throw it like
Wow.
somewhere, and always out loud say your emotions flow just like the water. And she's like, those emotions don't have to matter tomorrow, and they won't. She's like, so just burn it. And once you're ready to read back your emotions one day, you'll realize how comfortable now you feel to not only express yourself, but to read it back to yourself
Wow.
and know where you're coming
That's a
from.
great idea. I don't do that, but I'm gonna start burning stuff.
Yeah.
But what I do honestly is I just don't read. So like I usually have, I call epiphanies. I'll be like, babe, I had an epiphany. Like I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
writing like, and I'm like, oh my god, I made sense of something. This is why it's happening. And then I talk about it with a loved one, and then I just never think about it. And I purposely don't read back because in a year from now, it's been like exactly a year since I started journaling, or no, like 2 years now. Yeah, and I want to like one day like open up and be like, you see, like I thought that was the end of the world. Now I'm
Now
here
I'm here.
and do
Yes.
that. So I'm just saving it for like a really good
Yeah,
milestone day. Maybe
yeah.
5 years. I'll like look it up and just randomly turn to a page and be like, what was I dealing with like
Yeah.
5 years ago?
Me too. That's why now I, instead of burning it, now I save them. And I was
Okay.
like, I want to look back, one day, the day that I'm not one day, the day that I'm sitting, instead of being here, I'm sitting outside in, sunbathing, looking at my kids, and just like knowing
Oh,
that I've made it and that I did it and I'm successful and my house looks beautiful and my kids are beautiful and I'm enjoying everything around me. I want to grab that shit and I want to look at it and read it and just like reflect on how far I've came. And I want my kids to read it because I want everything that I've like went through for my kids to see that it's not uncomfortable to do. It's not
yes.
uncomfortable to sit down and journal. It's not uncomfortable to write down your negative thoughts. It's not uncomfortable to write down your angry thoughts. And like all the things that I felt discomfort with, I want them to not feel that discomfort. So I want
Yeah.
them to read back those stuff.
Yeah, having someone, that's huge what you said about the kids. One of the
Yeah.
main reasons I did start getting into journaling was you ever see that? Okay, back in the day on Disney Channel, y'all remember that? There
Yes.
was this show called Good Luck Charlie.
Yes.
And the whole premise was this older sister making like what we call vlogs now,
Yeah.
right? Of her life and like her problems and how she resolved them. I always thought that was really cool. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, wouldn't it be if I ever have kids, if
I
that
want
ever
them to look
happens,
back.
like I want them to see like, you're not in this alone. Kind of
This is
like a
my mom.
blueprint.
Yeah.
Yeah. A blueprint of like these are emotions, this happens, like yeah,
Yeah, and I
exactly
want
what
to
you
do
said.
that kind of stuff with my kid too. When I have a
No.
kid, I want to like record all these happy things because I have cassettes, but
You
cassettes are now,
do?
yeah, of me when I was younger. My mom used to
Okay.
record me, but they're like stuck now. And so I
What
don't
is
know if there's a place where I could like rewind the VR, like the
Oh,
cassette,
yeah.
but it's lost files now. And it's
Mm.
just like I want to be able to show my kids who they were when they were growing up.
Yeah.
And I know some of my friends who do have videos of them when they were younger that their parents still have. And I'm like, how fucking cool that like you
Mhm.
have all these memories. Even when I was turning 15 and I was, you know how like when you turn 15 and you have your sweet 16 and they have like some people have those presentations with videos and pictures of when they were
Okay.
younger. I was like, damn, I barely have any fucking pictures of
Yeah.
myself when I was
Me
a little
neither.
baby.
Honestly, I didn't. quick little story. I didn't have any pictures of myself when I was little until like 4 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
my
have
mother,
now.
like, I don't know what happened. Crazy story. Like my mother like took all the pictures from her childhood and like sent them to for where she's from, Ecuador,
Hmm.
because at one point she thought she was moving back, and then they lost
All of it.
most of them. There was like
Yeah.
one album book that survived, and 4 years ago, after high school, I was like having like a tough time processing everything, and I was like, let me go back to the homeland, let me have my little pray, love, eat, whatever
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
And I went back and I found some pictures. I was like, let me take them. But just even looking at pictures of like little Christine, like at
Yeah.
3, 4 years old, I'm like, wow, look at that little girl. That's me. And that goes back to like thinking of yourself as a little
The inner child in
your
you.
inner child. Yeah, that's what people call it now. It's like your inner child, like back to your negative thoughts, like something that I saw on the internet, and it's also honestly helped me, like look at a picture of yourself and like put it somewhere, and like whenever you want to talk bad about yourself, like look at that picture and tell yourself, like, would you say that stuff to that little kid? Would
Yes.
you talk to you like that mean about them? Like, no, you
No.
wouldn't be that mean to a kid
Yeah.
or just
Oh,
to anyone, like
I love that
think
because
about
yeah, I've
that.
seen that too. And I actually put my little picture in my bathroom,
Aw.
and every day like when I look at her, I'm like, this is who I have to make proud, cuz you grew up in, such a chaotic environment with family and like just like generational traumas that my mom went through that are passed down to just me, and
Yeah.
all the things that we've went through together. It's just like you deserve the best. Like you deserve the best mental health. You deserve to know what love actually feels like, self-love and love from other people. And like you said, you wouldn't tell those things like, oh man, like I suck. I wouldn't tell that to
Yeah.
myself when I was younger, so why are you saying it to yourself now?
Yeah, and if you do that enough times, like I don't even think, it's kind of healing your inner child. And
Yes.
once you start healing that inner child, you kind of just start thinking about yourself today. So like I wouldn't be like, "Oh my god, you're disgusting" to myself today, because I'm like, "Oh my god, tomorrow I'm going to look back like, "Oh my god, I was so mean to myself." Like
Yeah.
why was I doing
Yeah.
that?
I also saw something similar to that about like would you say that to your to this little person like the negative talk.
Mhm.
I saw it in regards to when you talk to other people now. Like,
Oh.
would you say if you talk to like an older person and say that like, oh, for example, let's say you and your friend are, talking about something that is like hard, like an uncomfortable conversation,
Mhm.
and would you tell them like, why are you doing that? No, because we say that to the little kids. Why, if we wouldn't say that to our friends, like instead we're like, oh, what's wrong? Like, what do you need to our friends? Why aren't we talking like that to our kids or to our siblings? And it's so easy to get caught up because even I did that with Kobe. Like growing up, I'd be like, why don't you know how to do this? And he's a little kid. So
But
it's
so
like,
were you. And that's huge. So
I
were
know.
you.
And it's just like now that I'm like now I look at my friendships with people and I'm always like whenever I see my friend that's upset, I'm like, why are you upset? Like, are you okay? Like, do you want to talk about it? I'm like, that's how I need to be talking to my little people. Like this is more so for parents really or people who have siblings. I don't see Kobe as often, but if I could rewind time and I knew the stuff I know now, that is how I would talk to Kobe. I'd be like, what is wrong? Like, what can I help you with? Because that's what they need. When you kind of like come at them and it's like, why are you crying? Or why are you so upset? Which is how I used to like be with him. It's just like, it makes them more like, damn, like,
Yeah.
ouch, I can't feel the feelings I feel without you hurting me more. So it's like if you don't talk to your friends that way, don't talk to your children or your siblings that way either, or yourself. Why
It's
am I
all
feeling like this?
it's all
Yeah.
connected at the end of the day. And I think, when we get older, and especially this generation, we're like learning about fixing our inner child, and
Mhm.
like
Healing.
healing, like
We're in
people
that
before us,
self-healing era.
yeah, like didn't do that. Like, what, your feelings, excuse me? Like, I don't
Yeah.
think
They didn't
my
matter that
parents or my
much.
parents before them, like they weren't like, let's go to therapy and talk about it.
Never.
No, exactly.
It
So
was
like,
all like not self-love. It was tough love.
yeah, it was tough love. And
Mhm.
honestly, I think, we still do need that to an extent with ourselves. Like, when you talked about weed and how you had to give yourself that self-talk and be like, no, you got to go to bed.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
to wake up
Don't do
early.
this, girl.
Like, you
Yeah.
have to, as much as you're healing your inner child, the child also needs like consistency and a schedule.
Yes.
So it's about a balance and like learning that just kindness will win and will rule whoever you're talking to, a
Right, right.
child, your older person, coworker, yourself.
Yeah. So you
Um,
know how I was talking about the subtle art of not giving a fuck in the book?
yeah.
So I read the second one, which is Everything is Fucked. And one thing I learned
These titles, I can't.
one thing I learned about it was when you're a child, you don't really know like the repercussions that certain things can bring. So, for example, the example that the book gave was your parents catching you eating chocolate in the middle of the night, knowing that you shouldn't be up one late as fuck at night, and then two eating that chocolate. And so they tell you like, no, don't do that. Like that's not it. So you, as a child, you don't understand like the repercussions of you wanting the pleasure, which is a chocolate, the
Hmm.
repercussions that it brings because you eat it without asking like your parent, like, hey, is it okay if I have this chocolate at 12 o'clock in the morning or
Yeah.
whatever? And as an adult, you start to realize like there are I don't know how to say it, like virtues, like not virtues, but like there's a repercussion. Like, so if you go get that chocolate late at night, your parents are gonna yell at you, you know? And the repercussion is that you'll be getting yelled at. So growing up as an adult, you realize like, okay, certain things like me having this bad habit with weed, like the repercussion is yes, I want the pleasure is weed. But it's like if I go and I chase my pleasure, my repercussion is not waking up early, my
Yeah.
repercussion is not chasing after the things I want. So that's one thing I learned from that book, that it's like as an adult you need to know like what the repercussion is, and that's the responsibility being in an adult in your adulthood era, like in your adulthood, that you have to listen more towards the responsibility than the pleasure. And it's
Yeah.
like you, as a child, you don't know that, you don't know how to separate that, you just go and do it and then you get yelled at for it, and then you learn repercussion
Hmm.
as you grow into a preteen, as you grow into your adolescent stage. And then as an adult, it's like, okay, now I have to just understand the responsibility.
Yeah.
That's what it's like to be an adult. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, that's insane. It's just a good, it's such a great read. I feel like reading books now has become such a great thing for me, and I used to do the same thing. I used to just hate it. They used to give us this like log, and you would have to write down how many
Ugh,
times you read, how
homework.
many books. I'm like, in the summer, girl, I'm at the beach.
Yeah, no, yeah. I love reading at the beach. Have you done
I
that? Oh my
haven't,
god.
and I want to go to the beach once
Oh
this
my god,
freaking
it's so
wildfire smoke
nice.
clears up.
Yeah. Is that the moon? What is that? Do you see that?
Yeah, I
Wow,
couldn't even,
that's
is it the
red.
moon? Is it the
Sun?
sun?
That's crazy. I don't
Guys,
know if you can see that, but
yeah, I
that's
don't know if you
crazy.
can see it, but oh my goodness, we are in some weird
Oh
times.
my god, hella weird. I don't even what. I had to wear a
Honestly,
mask to come here. I was like,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh man,
At first, I liked the smell of the smoke because it's like, oh, summertime campfire. But now I'm like, no, I just want to
yeah, I
breathe
was like,
normal
yo,
air.
this smells like bonfire vibes.
Mhm.
But then, yeah, now I heard it's like the equivalent. If you're outside for an hour, it's the equivalent of smoking 4 cigarettes. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's
There's so many
scary.
freaking crazy times. But anything else you want to touch on?
I want to add to your thing about, you know, an adult knowing, the delayed consequences. I also read a book
Hmm.
similar to that, and it said something along the lines of, as humans, like we're programmed, our early ancestors and stuff like that. We're gonna take it back to
Yes,
like,
yes.
chase after immediate gratification and not think about delayed action. So like they thought about like, oh, where's the next time I'm gonna eat? I'm gonna go hunt, and I'm not gonna think about anything else.
Yeah.
And we live in such a day where like we have to think about our consequences. Like if you smoke, you're not gonna wake up. But like our minds are still catching up to how we're living nowadays.
Yes.
And sometimes I think people find it hard to start because they're like, then why do I naturally want to smoke?
Yeah.
I should just listen to my body and that's what it wants to do. And you have to remember, like, our brains are, you have to teach your brain to like work with the society that we have today. It's like, we can't do that or else, we're going to end up nowhere. And you don't want that for yourself. You don't want that for other people. So don't, again, my whole thing is like, don't be hard on yourself, please.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
be good to yourself, be kind to yourself,
Just be
take it
gentle.
easy. Yeah, start
And
somewhere.
another thing is that like this all these advice, like pieces of advice that we're giving off to people, even just in general the podcast, you really won't start seeing importance of the advice we're giving until you yourself have that epiphany and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, holy shit, I don't want to be in this phase anymore of my life. So it's not like we're just giving you this and expecting you to do it or telling you like you have to do this or you have to read a book or you have to stop the negative self-talk. You're not going to stop anything until you're ready to stop, until you're asking yourself, is this is this still like something that I want to pursue? It like me waking up every day at 10 a.m. It pisses me off every day, and yet I'm not doing anything. What do I need to change? Until you have that, or does this align with me? Like until you're starting to like question the things that you're going through and if they're healthy or unhealthy, that's when you're really gonna start to take action. But first, you have to be aware, like becoming conscious, and that's
Yeah.
another thing. Like certain things that are wrong for you that feel like aren't necessarily the right things to do, but you're like, oh fuck it, I'm still gonna do them. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's a difference of being conscious. Like that was what it was for me with weed. It's like, yeah, I know I'm waking up at 10, who cares, I'm still gonna go and smoke. Or yeah, I know it's gonna give me, it could give me cancer or it could give me problems later on with my lungs or whatever the case is, but who cares? Like, this is the now, I'm having fun. And
Yeah.
then being conscious is not just knowing it, but being aware that, hey, this is stopping me from being my greatest self. This is stopping me from waking up at 7. This is stopping me from going to the gym because I feel lazy or making a podcast. Like, I don't even think I'd be here today had I not stopped smoking that much, because I felt like it was stopping even like just the little brain work that goes in my head, like journaling would have never been a thing in the
I
past.
mean, studies are showing that marijuana does slow down a lot of like your mental processes. So that
Yeah.
makes total sense.
Yeah, like, dude, so much has changed, and I feel like just from that one bad habit. And granted, I still do it, like I said, but just very, very minimal. Like I barely do it, and it's crazy to the extent that it's brought me just by taking that one thing away. It's just shifted my whole life, my whole routine. It's great. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Another thing that I wanted to touch on before we close out the podcast was friendship, and
Yeah.
the one topic you had in mind with not seeing each other for so long and having those friends where like you don't see very often, you don't talk to very often, and yet we still manage to be this connected. Like,
Yeah.
look at the, I don't even, how long has it been? An hour and 16 minutes.
Stop. Stop. I
But
didn't
this
know
is the
phones could
beauty of
record
it.
that long.
Yeah. But this is the beauty of it,
Wow.
and it just flows. I'm like,
Yeah.
how to normalize that kind of friendship, because there's friends that like you see every day and you're very connected
Like your
to.
everyday crew. Yeah.
Grew, yeah. And then there's friends like us that are just like, we haven't seen each other in years.
And I feel like people are experiencing that already, just growing up and not having enough time. Like you're not in environments where you're with people all the time. It's such
Yeah.
a, you're at work, you see different people. You go to the gym, you see different people. So I feel like naturally people start thinking like, oh my god, I'm falling out with people, or I'm falling out with
Yeah.
this. And I think,
Or I haven't talked to so and so in so long, I
like,
wonder how they're feeling.
normalize like not talking for a bit and then just catching up.
Out
Like,
of nowhere,
if
yeah.
anything, it's more fun because if you see the same people, to be honest, with like every day, like with my bestie, like I see her and we're always talking, but we talk about everything every day, so we don't have so many new things. Sometimes it's fun when I don't talk to her intentionally for like a week and we catch up and she's like, oh, this and this and this and this happened.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like fun sometimes, you're
And
like
being
the
an adult,
mystery.
yeah, being
Yeah.
an adult, having friendships as an adult, being so caught up in like being your own responsibilities, you lose touch with certain people. And like
Yeah.
once you finally get the chance to reconnect, it's like, oh my god, so and so and I catched up today, and like, guess what, it was so great, like we did
Yeah.
this, we did that, or this and this happened to me at work, you won't believe what this brought to me, blah blah blah. You learn so many things from just having that one like stretch of not talking to then coming together and sharing all the stuff that you go through. And that's what I feel like happened to us today. I
No,
love it.
ditto.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think even if you haven't talked to someone, and I'm going to share a personal story. Whoa.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Like, for example, I've been on this like tour of like reaching out to people.
Nice.
And one of those people were like someone that wasn't necessarily like we weren't besties. We weren't even like amicable friends really
Yeah.
the last time we talked. And I feel like that even within itself was like a huge thing for me, maybe for them, I don't know, but I think it's important to, if you have done, like you felt like you did anyone wrong, or you felt like you don't talk to someone because, oh, how could you talk to that person when the last time you talked was like weird or something? You
Yes.
never know. um I feel like in my situation I was like holding on to things on, like you said, unconsciously.
Yeah, resenting certain
Yeah, and
emotions.
I was at the point where I was like, I don't even know why. Like, time will do that.
Yeah,
Time will
yeah.
be like, it'll be like, why was I not talking to this? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I reached out, and then they were like, we made amends and stuff like that. And I got some closure that I didn't even know I needed
Needed.
or wanted.
Oh my God, that happened to
And
me before too.
yeah, and I feel like so many people are scared of, again, doing taking that leap of faith, and like, what's the worst thing that they can happen? It's just like they leave me on red. Oh
Yeah.
well, like,
Yeah, for real.
yeah, like, okay, like,
Short-term memory
it's just
loss.
like an ego thing, but egos can be built back up. Go
Yeah.
spend time with your friends and you forget about it.
Yeah.
Um, so don't be afraid to reach out to someone. We reached out. I reached out to you, and now we're here,
And
and
like we had each
yeah.
other on social media, it's not like
Mhm.
we completely didn't know what was going on in our
Yeah, yeah.
lives. I knew what she was up to, and I was just like, wow, she's doing so great. Like, and I haven't talked to her in so long. Like, she's famous.
Oh, she's not.
I
Now
was like,
she's
she's
famous.
famous. Now she's famous. But like, just to have you here and like to be able to catch up and like I said, that one memory of me always sleeping over your house. The
Oh.
one memory that I always have is Easter, spending Easter at your house. You had an Easter egg hunt.
Dude.
Sally was
Wow.
there.
Was she?
Sally was
Oh,
there. Her mom was there.
wow.
My mom was there. You had a bunch of other people there. And I was like, wow, I've never done an Easter egg hunt. And
Oh,
this is my first one. And I had a sleepover that day. So it was
wow.
just so cute. And like, I'll never, ever, ever forget that freaking. And I will never forget what your room looked like.
What did it look like? I had so
You
many
had,
rooms.
it was like you shared the room with Mara, your other sister.
Yeah.
And then you had like two beds, Mara's bed, but like your room was like in the top of like the roof that like was slanted.
Or like an attic room?
Yes,
Okay.
kind of like that. Oh my God, I will never forget. I will
Oh,
never forget your room. The large mirror that you had with your like closet doors. It was just so
yeah.
cute, dude.
You know what's crazy? I don't want to end it sad, but I don't remember any of that. And a lot of my journey becoming an adult, like, into my 20s, is like I had so much childhood trauma that I literally don't
Repressed it.
remember any of that,
Yeah.
even the happy stuff. And that's so sad because that's why I'm like, what happened? Tell me what
Yeah, yeah,
happened. Like, I
yeah.
want to know what the fuck was I up to?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I want to get to one day like be able to remember that sort of stuff. And I think that's amazing, like how certain, like, you'll remember certain things that to me were like insignificant, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
room. And I think that's crazy. Something that I always remember, like, because I would have sleepovers at your house. Your mom would make this dish with like eggs and sausages in the
Okay,
morning. I don't know.
yes.
That always stayed with
Oh,
me.
that was the go-to. The
Yeah,
go-to
I was like,
huevos con salchicha.
yeah, and I just remember like stuff like that. Like, I feel like sleepovers were iconic back then.
They
I'm
were.
like, that's one of the things that I'm like, oh my god, this happened at this sleepover. I remember you would bring friends, like people that I didn't know. You've always been that kind of girl that just like,
Brings people
yeah,
together.
you're like,
Yeah.
this is this,
This is so and
vibe
so.
along.
Yeah.
Do your
Yes,
thing.
seriously. But I'm so happy we're here. And like, so at the end of my podcast, we always finish with gratefulness. So one of the things I'm grateful for is reconnecting with you. I'm always
Aw.
gonna be grateful for the friendship we shared. Like, you were one of my very first friends growing up here, and like
Mhm.
being able to be a part of the sleepovers with you for the very first time, and like my mom allowing me to just be at your place, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it. My mom trusts
Wow.
her. Like, this is a friend for life then. And
Aw.
you are like, it doesn't matter where time takes us. Like, I am so grateful for our friendship and where it's brought us, and how crazy that we're here today. You're
Yeah.
sitting in this chair with me, and
For over an hour,
for over an
apparently.
hour
This
and
was
20
supposed to
minutes.
be 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
here we are, but that's the
Yeah.
beauty of it. And like I'm just glad that you stepped out of your comfort zone for this.
Yeah.
I remember you were like, I'm a little nervous now. I was like, girl, nervous just means you're alive. We got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just letting it flow, letting it just being vulnerable, sharing your vulnerability.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm so grateful for that. And another thing I'm
Oh.
grateful for is even though, we're going through hard times right now and Canada has a wildfire, I am grateful that we still have life and that we're still here being able to, just be um together as friends and just as a community. And, even though it's awful outside right now, we still have life and we still have everything we need in order to stay alive.
Yeah,
Really.
that's a big one. I mean, like, if anything, these wildfires are like they make you. It's kind of like COVID. It kind of makes you think about like what's important.
Yes.
Like, I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about the air. There's like certain parts of the world where you have to smell this every
Yeah.
day
Yeah,
and see
seriously.
stuff.
I can't imagine what it's like for them right now.
Yeah,
Like for us, we're over here like, holy shit, this is bad. Imagine for them.
I was thinking about the animals.
Yeah.
Imagine it's just it's
Gone,
really sad.
done. Yeah,
Yeah.
for them it's like their home is over and like
Mhm.
or they're dead and it's just like wow, being grateful for life and just the little things that we have, being able to be inside right now and not having like homeless people right now. Where are they, and the amount of smoke that they're intaking. It's just that's just one thing to be grateful for, to be able to be alive, have a home, have shelter and share it with friends and over a podcast.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm gonna share the first gratitude with you as well. I'm grateful for old friends and new friends, and and my second one is I'm grateful for taking risks. I feel like it's very important to be brave and to think that you can do anything because you can do anything if you really wanted to. Snap,
Facts.
snap, 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 snap,
Yes.
snap. And yeah, I'm grateful for laughs. I feel like we had a good
A
laugh
great
today.
laugh, a
And
great
yeah,
conversation,
yeah.
great advice. Like, it's so good. Like, I always tell myself, like, I work so hard internally that I want my external world to reflect that. And even just now, like, I just had like that, like, moment where you were saying your gratitude, and I'm
Oh,
like, it doesn't matter where I'm at, who I'm with, I'm always sharing gratitude over dinner, over food. And to share it over a podcast, like, and see people share it back and, like, be comfortable with saying something they're grateful for. It's
yeah.
just like, oh, oh, I work so hard to be here and like to have these kinds of friendships and to just feel loved and to share the love and to share the gratitude, that to have people be receptive about it is just like, oh,
You feel
I
very
love
deeply.
it.
Alondra, you can
Yeah.
feel it, you know. I feel what you're feeling. Like you're
Yeah.
that type of person.
I
A
love you,
thousand
dude.
percent.
Thank you for
Oh, I
coming
love you
on
too.
here, and we'll stop it here, guys, because I know it's a long one, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's so worth it. I promise you're gonna learn so much here today, and thank you again for watching.
Do you want to go smoke weed? No, I'm kidding.